Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about adopting a new platform for competition, or if you're curious about competition, how to start building your skills to plug in and be effective at your first match. Are you ready? Stand by. So if you follow the channel, it should be no surprise right now to know that the Langdon Tactical Beretta is going to be what I'm going to try to compete with for at least the next few matches, if not the rest of the year. And with any platform change comes a lag period where your skills go from about here to about right there as you go through the getting to know you process. So it seemed helpful while I'm kind of struggling through this to make a video like this so that you, if you're picking up a gun for the first time, bought your new shiny competition gun, or if you've always been kind of a self-defense guy and you want to see kind of a more systematic approach to how to develop your techniques to be ready for competition, then I'm going to help you with that as well. So I say it, and pretty much any high-level shooter is going to tell you this, that the shooting is entirely fundamental. So get out of your head right now that you need to have all this fancy knowledge and know how to apply tourniquets or whatever. All that stuff really doesn't matter when it comes down to the application of putting shots on target accurately and at speed. And the foundation of speed is going to be the grip. And so before you start with anything, we're gonna have to get to the range and actually put rounds through the gun. Now, the drill that I would recommend to actually kind of get familiar with the grip that your pistol needs to have is just the doubles drill. It's on the benstager.com website, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Just set up a target about 5 to 10 yards away, get a grip on the pistol, and fire 2 shots at the pistol. If you've got a double action gun like the Beretta, maybe back up a bit and work the double action before getting into the double. And the point for doing that is because it doesn't really matter if you're getting a fast draw if you don't know how to grip the gun. So the first thing you have to do before you start working on your draw and trying to burn it down is understand whether or not you've got an effective grip. And unfortunately, there's not a good way to do that in dry fire. So you're gonna have to get to the range and you're gonna have to spend a little bit of ammo. And by a little bit, I mean like it's probably gonna be a couple few hundred rounds to really get familiar with how you need to be gripping the gun and getting the sight to track straight up and down. So once you have that sensation of how you should be gripping the pistol and what it feels like, and I mean really pay attention to what your hands feel like when they're on the gun, understand how much pressure is in the web of your hand, how much pressure you're putting on the gun through the pad of your thumb, maybe right there on that knuckle, how does it feel when you do it? What are you feeling across the back of your wrist? Like how much pressure are you using along the front of the grip to get a good stabilized grip? Same thing on this. Where is the heel of your palm landing? Where are the fingers of your support hand landing? And when you apply the correct amount of pressure, what sensation is that causing in your hand? Is it more of a pull? Is it more of like pushing in on the heel of your palm and pulling back with your fingers? Are you pulling back with your whole arm? There's going to be a formula that you're going to have to figure out. I can tell you how it works for me with this particular gun, but that's not going to replace actually getting on the range and doing it. But the general principles of grip are going to be the same. You're going to get as high as possible on the gun. You're going to push into the gun with the back of your hand. You're going to pull back with these fingers, and the force is going to vary based around what platform and how your hands fit on the gun. This hand's going to come up in here and get real high up under the trigger guard and land on the gun, and the thumb is going to be wherever it wants to be. You're going to feel what it feels like, whether it's pushing into the back strap of the gun or pulling back on your knuckles. There's going to be a sensation. Just generally speaking, you're not going to be pinching in on the sides of the pistol. It's going to be basically applying pressure front to back. You're going to want all the force to be sort of front to back, and that's doing 2 things. It's setting the gun in the palm of your hand so it won't wiggle around as much as you manipulate the trigger. And number 2, this is your lever that resists the muzzle rise that's going to want to happen as the gun recoils when you fire it. So it's really going to come down to you in understanding where your hands need to be placed on the gun. Now, once you understand where your hands are supposed to be on the gun, you can start working from the holster and building a grip on the pistol as it's coming out of the holster. You're going to recall the grip that you developed in live fire, and it's going to be pass-fail. And this is where dry fire is going to be worth a lot because you don't have to spin many rounds. The best thing you can do is go do that doubles drill at the range and then back it up and do some dry fire from the holster where you're bringing the gun up. Now, you're developing your index right now, and what that is going to mean is looking to a specific point on the target and bringing the gun up so that the sights or the dot appear on the target exactly where you're looking. And that's just going to take repetition, unfortunately, but the more you pay attention and become kinesthetically aware of what your body is doing, the more likely you are to be able to reproduce that. So it's hard to reproduce something if you're not aware of what you're doing. So the more awareness you have of your body as you're doing it, the more likely you're going to be able to repeat it and do it every time. And the name of the game in competition shooting is shooting on a subconscious level. And the only way you can do that is mindful, thoughtful reps until the point that you can do them thoughtlessly. It's a very Zen-like principle, but it absolutely is the case. If you have to think about what you're doing as you're doing it, you're already going to be too slow, and your focus is going to be on the wrong thing. Because when you're shooting fast, your focus is on the target or the sights, and that's it. So to develop your index, you're just going to be drawing to a sight picture. That's all you have to do. The gun's gonna come up and you're gonna evaluate your grip before you put it back in the holster. Every time you run the rep, before you put it away, you're gonna check what you've just done. Do you feel the tension in your hands? Do you feel the contact points on the gun? Was it quick? Was it not? Are your elbows at the correct angle? All of that stuff's gonna factor in. And as you just evaluate it over and over, and I mean, you could do this for 10 minutes, and that's a long time to be doing a simple drill just from the holster. And this is unfortunately a drill that you're probably gonna need to do like 2 or 3 days in a row just to get the foundations of the index coming up to the gun. So that's the first index you're gonna have to develop. The next index is with the gun already out of the holster, and as you enter a position, getting both hands on the gun. And it's as easy as it sounds, just holding the gun in a firm but relaxed sort of grip like you were running with the gun, like in a practical shooting context, building your grip and pressing it out, presenting to a target and presenting to a sight picture. Again, this is a pass-fail sort of thing where you check all of the boxes to make sure that as you build your grip and present it out, that you're seeing what you need to see on the sights, you're feeling what you need to feel in your hands, and then you just kind of evaluate it. And as you evaluate the rep, you check whether or not the rep was satisfactory, and then tweak what you need to tweak for the next rep. So that's gonna be kind of the next index, is just running and building up a thing. And you can do this drill by taking 2-3 steps or long running reps and do it that way. So the next grip is going to be figuring out your reload. And there are basically gonna be about 3 steps to it, and you're gonna have to just kind of work it. And again, this is something you can do in dry fire, and you don't even need to fire shots for this necessarily. But you're gonna start with the gun presented to a target. You're going to drop the mag and figure out what angle you need to be dropping the mag at. You're gonna bring up the ammunition, seat it, and rebuild the grip. The big stumbling blocks and sort of takeaway points, number one, is getting the mags to drop free. Like, what angle do you have to hold the gun at so that the ammunition will drop free of the gun every single time? Glocks are notorious for this due to the plastic on plastic friction not wanting to drop free. The magazines are very light, and the mag button is very hard to depress. Whereas other guns like this Beretta, CZ Shadow 2s and stuff, they'll just spit magazines out and the mags drop free with relatively no problem. Then you're gonna have to figure out the angle at which you need to be holding the gun. And it's either going to be on the right side of your body, on the left side of your body. There's gonna be a specific angle, generally having the grip in front of your face, pointed at the source of the ammunition, which is at your belt, is gonna be the winner. And then how to present that magazine to your gun so that it goes in every single time with as little friction as possible. This is probably the hardest thing to develop for a practical shooter, is a very fast fluid reload, and I'm not there yet, a few weeks into training on this Beretta. So once you are confident you've got that magazine seated, it's going to be rebuilding the grip and getting back on target. So it's just seating and rebuilding to get back on target over and over. And you can do this again for a long time. And even if you're already familiar with your gun, these basic fundamental micro drills where you're hyper focusing on reacquiring your sight picture fast pay a lot of dividends. The more that you can absolutely reload the gun without thought and have your sights super fast, the better points you're gonna have, the faster you're gonna be. So it's not a bad drill even if you are familiar with your platform. So that's really it, guys. It seems very fundamental and very basic, but as we say, shooting's entirely fundamental, and if you haven't mastered the fundamentals, it's gonna be really hard for you to have success while shooting. If you're thinking your way through the stage, you're gonna be a lot slower than the guy who's focusing on what he's supposed to be doing as he's doing it, which is scoring points in a hurry. So I'd like to hear from you guys in the comments. What are your favorite things to do to adopt a pistol and get ready for competition? Sound off in the comments so that people who watch this video can hear other bits of information on how you have adopted new platforms to store. And before we take off, we have to discuss the sacred relationship between creator and subscriber. So I'll make these world-class firearms videos for you to watch here on YouTube. And in your free time, you're going to pick up the hobby of making puppets. You're going to develop your skill to such a level that you're eventually making puppets for children's shows, in which case you make a puppet that appears on Sesame Street featuring my logo so that all the world will know of the world-class firearms content we're delivering here on YouTube. If that sounds like too much commitment for you, just hit the like button. I appreciate that, helps me out in search. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and ring the bell so you will be notified every time these world-class firearms videos deliver here on YouTube. Be sure and check out the links, there's cool stuff in the description. If you like this kind of content, there's a lot more of it over on my Patreon page, and about $1 a month gets you access to 3 to 5 blog posts, and early access to videos and exclusive videos generally about training and what's going on with my training. As always, I appreciate you guys. Take care, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you guys.